nowhere else really educates on what we educate. And that was one of the biggest things that I caught on 12 years ago. I looked at my parents. My parents moved here from Iran about 31 years ago. When the revolution happened over there, there's my magic drink, there we go. I forgot it. When they moved here about 31 years ago, you know, they didn't speak the language, nothing, no degree, no nothing, like most immigrants who come to America. So my mom ends up working in downtown LA, and my dad opens up a discount store with his two brothers, with my two uncles, and a coffee shop. And they had this business for several years, for maybe 25 years. Where recently my dad was forced out of business. They bought his building, he couldn't afford to pay the mortgage, the lease, so you're gone, out of business. Which is most small mom and pop shop businesses today. So you look at my dad's type of business has completely changed since the time he's come here, where he didn't change, his model of business didn't change. So Starbucks and franchises and Amazon and, you know, take over the discount store and the coffee shop. And my mom, about 10 years ago, I was able to retire her from her job and have her not work due to this business. When anybody looking at a business, because I know most of you, you are 3 months or less or 6 months or less in this business, and early on, it's exciting but also confusing. It's you want to do it, but in most parts you don't know where to start. You know to trust the group. You know that the information is good, but you still don't have a full grasp of the whole thing, which is normal because it's new and most of us, we like to do things our own way. So when we're told that there's a system, follow a system, we have our own personalities, we have our own character, we have our own attitude. And when it comes to the business, for most people also, the reason why it takes a while to succeed is because it's my opinion. What I find very common is many fail to view this and treat it like for real business. Like the way they would do with any other business. They go put a couple $100,000 to get any business going. They fail to treat this the same. Most of us, we treat this as another recruiting company or another multi-level type company, and failing to realize that in reality what we're doing is we're building a large financial services agency. You're no different than any other broker out in the industry. The only difference is that if you go work for State Farm, all you can do is sell State Farm. And when you work with State Farm, most of the times either you are an agent of State Farm or you're a broker. But if you are the agent, it's very hard for you to be the broker. And if you're the broker, it's hard for you to keep your agents because they can never be a broker like you. And you still make money from what they do. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yes.
If that's why most brokers in any field, whether they are a stockbroker, whether it's a mortgage broker, whether it's a real estate broker, whether it's an accounting broker, which is out there, most of them cannot retain people because if I'm a broker and I have you guys as agents or advisors working with me, you can never be a broker just like me and I still make money. So what you do is you go and become a broker down the street and you become my competition. In most businesses, actually, it's very much like that, where if I work for you, you will never teach me everything you know. Is that true?
Yes.
Why would you teach me everything you know? You'll never want to train the competition, especially nowadays. So, in our business, even as a young guy though, when I started, there was really about 3 or 4 things I looked at. The first thing I looked at was the company. I looked at WFG. I looked at Transamerica. And I said, well, Transamerica is a very large company. It's been around for over 100 years. you know, we are known for the landmark building of Transamerica in San Francisco. So everybody knows Transamerica. And WFG doesn't own any type of insurance or investment account. WFG is just a platform that we work with 100 of the best financial service companies in the world. You name them, we work with them, from Nationwide to Prudential to Allianz to Fidelity to Vanguard, to all these guys. We work with them in the industry. So company-wide, I look at it, I say, wow, it's amazing. The next thing I look at is the concepts that we share. And the things that we'll talk about today: compounding interest, taxes, inflation, what accounts are taxed now, what's later, what's never taxed. Those type of strategies, mutual funds, IRAs, things that we need to learn every day, but we don't learn. Things that most people, they have to, they gotta be able to apply for themselves, but at some point teach to their kids. Nobody learned. So concept-wise, I also saw that what we do is really good for people. The third thing I looked at was compensation. As a business, how would I get compensated for this? How would I get paid? So I like to look at the full thing around, and the last thing I looked at was, is there a big need for what these people are doing? And after some time, when I started to really see what we do for people, and I started to learn more about our accounts and the products, I turned around and I said, holy crap, man, nowhere else is talking to people about anything like this. My parents don't have anything like this. The more I did the business, it's funny, the more I did the business, I started realizing one question that was constantly being asked. After I do a presentation, I show everybody everything, they turn around and go, man, this is amazing. Where were you 20 years ago? Literally, that's the number one question that's like always coming up. And for me as a joke, I'd always say, well, I don't know, man, I was like 5, 6 years old. I was probably in the first grade or something. But that's what it is. When people learn about compound interest, they go, I wish I knew this earlier. When they learn about tax-free account, tax advantage account, they go, man, I wish I knew this one earlier. So, what we're gonna go over is, first of all, it takes about 15, 20 minutes to share with somebody, which is magical. Because I think today, most people's attention span is very short. Is that right?
Yes.
Right? I probably already lost you and put you to sleep already. But most attention span is short. I notice even myself, my own attention span is short. Nowadays, naturally, we all have some sort of ADD or something. We have a hard time sitting still, or we're doing 4 or 5 things at once. So it's a short presentation. That's one thing. The second thing is this. For those of you that are in the team, I hope you catch this part. I've always looked for a very simple way to be able to share with someone, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is how we do it. You know, you look at most businesses, like if you go to the Bay Area, you go to Silicon Valley, where Google and Yahoo and all these companies are. You have to be able to explain the company or explain what you do in like one line. That's really what it is. Like Facebook could turn around and say that we connect billions of people all over the world over the internet, which is what they do. Everybody will understand that. Or Amazon is with a click of a button you can go shopping without really going shopping. Because that's what you do with Amazon, if you think about it. You're buying things, you're shopping, but you're not going out shopping.
Yep.
You know, so every company could do that, and I've always, for us, everyone watched Shark Tank before?
Yes.
Right? It's Shark Tank, okay. Which actually, one of this guys from Shark Tank, Damon John, is going to be a speaker in our convention in July.
Yes.
So Damon is the founder of Food.
Yeah.
I look at Shark Tank. You have 5 minutes to pitch your business to try to raise a couple $100,000 from 5 of the most influential business entrepreneurs in the world. And then we try to sit down with somebody and spend an hour, 2 hours to try to get them saved $200, $300. To me, that's ridiculous. Hence why I've always also wanted something that if somebody watched me do it 3 times, 4 times, they can do it. So most of the time in my career, somebody would have to watch me do something for about 2-3 months until they could learn it. Today, I think we've discovered something that you just show about 7-8 pages. 1, you educate people about how money works. 2, you show them a place that they can reposition their spending and put some money there. $200-300 a month, $500 a month, so they can have something for their future down the line. And 3, you can explain a great business to somebody like this also. To explain to someone that, hey, this is what we teach people as a company, and this is the type of accounts that we have as a company, and this is how we get paid on something like that. So for those of you that have this, feel free, follow along. In fact, I would recommend you follow along. And we're good to go. So, all right, you guys good? Yeah.
Yes.
The first thing I always like to talk about is everybody see that? Yeah. First thing I like to talk about is page 7. Understand how money works. There's a formula to building wealth, and this formula can apply to anything. It applies to a saving account, it applies to a real estate, it applies to stocks. That formula works on every single one of them. What do I need? I first need money. Money needs time, so plus time. The idea of saving, investing is more for the long term, because that's how you really grow wealth, which we'll talk about. So plus time. Now, depending where it's invested, plus or minus the rate of return. Most people have no clue what it is that makes their investments go up or go down. And that's what we have to be educated on. Now, there's 2 things that eat away at our wealth. 1, minus inflation. Is it true that every year do we pay more for things or less for things? We pay more for things. That's inflation, right? Inflación. So, inflation. Second thing, minus taxes. Believe it or not, every account is taxed differently. I've been telling this one to everybody lately. I have to tell you this, it's actually pretty funny. A couple weeks ago, I was doing this presentation with someone, and it was a young guy, 21, 22 years old. He goes, bro, you guys forgot to put another minus. I go, what do you mean another minus? And he goes, yeah, your formula, it's off. There's one more thing that eats your money. I go, okay, what is it? He goes, well, it's money plus time plus or minus rate of return minus inflation minus taxes minus your wife equals your wealth. And I looked at him, I go, bro, are you married? Because he was 21. He goes, no, I'm not married. I go, so, what are you talking about minus your wife? He goes, well, I see how my dad's always complaining to my mom about her spending, so. So, that one's a joke, right? But
Good. Good.
True story, but it's a joke. So, money plus time plus minus rate of return minus inflation minus taxes equals our wealth. So, if we break this formula down, first thing is money. Where can we find money? Where can we reposition some money? First, I like to talk to everybody about paying ourselves first. The idea of saving money is just repositioning some of our spending. Rather than me having some extra money sit left over in the checking account, I'm better off having it go reposition it and pay myself first to have the money come work for me. What do we mean? 1, treat it like a bill that you must pay, and pay it first. Like a financial bill. That's the idea. Now, where does it come from? I'm happy that I learned this early on. I learned that small changes make big money. See, here's the beauty of repositioning some of our spending. Look,